So imagine you've just spent, I don't know, 40 grueling hours designing this breathtaking layout for a massive new art museum.
Oh yeah, the kind of project where you're poring over every detail.
Exactly. We're talking sweeping hero images,
Yeah.
perfectly balanced typography, right? A visual rhythm that just practically sings.
It looks like an absolute masterpiece on your monitor.
Right, so you hit save, you send the file over to the lead web developer, and you just sit back, waiting for the applause.
Let me guess. 5 minutes later, they send the file back with one single devastating word.
Yep, unusable.
Yeah, it's a scenario that plays out in design agencies basically every single day.
Really? That often?
Oh, absolutely. And it happens because the designer treated the digital file like, a painting instead of what it actually is.
Which is what?
A piece of software architecture.
And that is exactly what we are tearing into today. Welcome to the deep dive, everyone.
We're looking at that invisible line, the one that separates someone who just makes pretty pictures from someone who builds professional digital systems.
Right, so if you are just starting your career in digital design, or honestly, if you ever work with developers, this is the hidden plumbing you absolutely must understand.
It really is.
We are going to explore why digital files fall apart, how to bulletproof your workflow, and why the way you organize your layers might actually be more important than the art itself.
To do this, we are grounding our conversation in a very specific industry standard benchmark. We're analyzing the concepts laid out in Chapter 13.
That's right, Chapter 13, Preparing Files for the Web.
Yep.
And this comes directly from a phenomenal book called Adobe Photoshop CC Classroom in a book 2018.
It's such a great resource for this kind of foundational stuff.
It really is. And we want to make sure you have access to this material so you can actually practice the mechanics we're discussing today.
Because you really need to get your hands dirty with this.
Exactly. So you can buy the book by scanning the QR code of the book link provided in the description below. Again, that is Adobe Photoshop CC Classroom in a book 2018. Scan the code, grab the book, and build along with the concepts we are breaking down.
So the scenario Chapter 13 uses to teach these concepts it's incredibly practical.
Oh yeah, set the stage for us.
We are tasked with building a responsive website for a Spanish art museum called Museo Arte.
Okay, so high-end, elegant, and demanding.
Very demanding. And right out of the gate, the text asks us to do something that honestly feels incredibly pedantic.
I remember reading this. We're building the very first button for the website, right? A button labeled Gallery 1.
Right. But before we draw a single shape, we are instructed to go into our software preferences and completely change our fundamental units of measurement to pixels.
And we also had to disable any automatic snapping features, right?
Yep. And pull up a digital coordinate tracker called the info panel.
Okay, so let me stop you there. Why are we doing all this administrative setup just to draw a little button? I mean, if I come from a background in drawing or print design, I just, grab a pen tool and start sketching.
Right, but you have to realize you're transitioning from a physical medium to a digital ecosystem. And the physics of those two worlds, they're entirely different.
Okay, unpack that a bit. The physics.
Well, in the print world, your constraints are the physical edges of a piece of paper. You measure in inches or centimeters, right?
Yeah.
But on the web, your canvas is made of light. And that light is divided into an absolute rigid grid of tiny squares called pixels.
Okay.
The pixel is essentially the atomic unit of the internet.
I like that, the atomic unit. But okay, why disable the automatic snapping? Usually the software tries to, help you align things.
Tries, yeah.
And the text has us dragging a ruler guide down our screen while staring at this info panel until the y-axis coordinate reads exactly 795 pixels.
Exactly 795.
Yeah, it emphasizes that it cannot be 794. It can be 796. It has to be 795. Why does one single pixel matter that much?
It's all because of how screens render graphics. Think about it. If you draw a straight line and you accidentally place it exactly between two pixels, say, at 795.5,
Okay.
the screen cannot physically light up half a pixel. The hardware just doesn't work that way.
Oh, wow. Right, so what does it do?
So the software tries to compensate by lighting up both adjacent pixels at half opacity. It's called anti-aliasing.
Anti-aliasing, I've heard that term.
Right, and in a photograph, you don't really notice it because there are so many colors blending together.
But on a button.
Exactly. On the hard, sharp edge of a user interface element, like a button or a menu bar, that half-pixel compensation creates this blurry, muddy edge.
So it literally looks out of focus.
It does. When you see an amateur website and it just feels, I don't know, a little cheap or soft and you can't quite articulate why.
Yeah, you just know something is off.
It's often because the designer wasn't paying attention to the pixel grid.
That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, disabling the automatic snap gives you manual control. And using the info panel guarantees that your elements are landing squarely on the mathematical grid. You are forcing the hardware to render a perfectly crisp edge.
Okay, so you're designing for the reality of the hardware, not just the, aesthetic of the screen.
Exactly.
So we have our flawless guide established at exactly 795 pixels.
Perfect.
Below that line, we create a dark blue rectangular band across the bottom of our button image. And we are given precise RGB values for this, right? Red 25, green 72, blue 121.
Yep, very specific blue.
And then we type the words Gallery 1 in stark white text right over that blue band.
Now, visually, the contrast is high. The text is totally legible. But functionally, it's missing a psychological trigger.
Right, because a flat blue rectangle on a flat photograph doesn't necessarily scream, click me.
No, it doesn't. And this is where the book introduces layer styles, specifically a drop shadow and an inside stroke.
Now, the text outlines very specific parameters for this shadow. It asks for a 27% opacity, a 120-degree lighting angle, and a 9-pixel distance.
Very deliberate numbers.
I want to pause here because I remember when I first started playing with design software, I would just crank the drop shadow until it looked cool.
Oh, we all did that.
Right. Usually it meant it looked like a total eclipse was happening behind my button.
Just a massive black smudge.
Exactly. Why are these specific subtle numbers so important?
Well, because UI design, user interface design, is really an exercise in applied psychology.
Applied psychology. I like where this is going.
You are trying to convince the human brain that a flat arrangement of glowing pixels is actually a physical object that can be pushed.
Oh, wow.
The drop shadow is how you simulate the physics of the real world.
The physics of the real world on a computer monitor.
Precisely. Think about how light works in your physical environment.
Okay.
If a piece of paper is sitting perfectly flat on a desk, it casts almost no shadow, right?
Right, it's flush.
But if it's hovering, say, an inch above the desk, the shadow is soft, it's dispersed, and it's offset based on where the overhead lights are.
That makes sense.
So by setting the drop shadow distance to exactly 9 pixels, you are essentially telling the user's subconscious, hey, this button is hovering exactly this high off the background canvas.
And what about the 120-degree angle?
That establishes the global light source. Standard UI convention dictates that the imaginary light source is basically shining from the top left of the screen down toward the bottom right.
Ah, so that's why the shadow falls slightly below and to the right of the button.
Exactly. It creates a subtle but incredibly powerful illusion of depth. Designers call this an affordance.
An affordance.
Yeah, an affordance is a visual cue that tells you how an object can be interacted with. The shadow says, I am raised, therefore I can be pushed down.
That is fascinating. You aren't just making it look nice. You're literally hacking the user's spatial awareness.
You really are.
Okay, so we've carefully engineered this button. We have the raw photograph layer, the dark blue rectangular band layer, the crisp white text layer, and the drop shadow effects attached to the photo.
That's a lot of pieces.
It is. We have 4 or 5 different elements floating around in our software's layers panel just to create one single button.
And this is where the text introduces what might be the most crucial professional habit of all.
Grouping.
Yes. We are instructed to select all of those layers, put them into a single folder, and name it Gallery 1.
Okay, so I want to jump in here because I have a theory about this.
Let's hear it.
I like to compare digital file organization to the culinary concept of mise en place.
Oh, I love that.
Right, because if you walk into a Michelin-starred kitchen, you don't see chefs like wildly hacking at whole onions while a steak is actively burning on the stove.
Definitely not.
Everything is prepped. The onions are diced in one perfectly labeled container, the garlic is minced in another, the spices are measured out, the workspace is pristine. So when the heat turns on, the chef isn't searching for ingredients, they're simply executing the vision.
That is a phenomenal analogy. When you are designing a complex web page, your Photoshop file is your kitchen.
Yes.
And if you have 100 layers named Layer 47 and Rectangle Copy 3 scattered randomly throughout your document,
It's a nightmare.
you are cooking in chaos.
And when you need to change the font size on one specific button, you're spending 5 minutes just trying to find where that text layer is even buried.
Exactly. It drains your creative energy and your time. But more importantly, it goes back to that nightmare scenario you outlined at the very beginning of our conversation.
The developer rejecting the file.
Yes. The developer who says it's unusable. Web developers do not have the time nor the inclination to act as detectives in your Photoshop document.
They're there to build, not to hunt.
Right. When they open your file to begin writing the HTML and CSS code, they need to find the assets immediately.
Okay, I see.
If they see a folder clearly named Gallery 1, and inside that folder is the text, the background, and the image for that specific button,
Then what?
you have instantly communicated that you understand structural hierarchy. You've basically earned their respect right there.
So, grouping isn't just about my own sanity. It is a professional courtesy to everyone downstream who touches the project.
100%. If you take absolutely nothing else away from this discussion today, take this. Your layer organization is your professional reputation.
Wow. Okay, message received.
Yep.
So we have our beautifully organized, psychologically engineered Gallery 1 button.
Yep.
But a museum website has lots of galleries. We need to create buttons for Gallery 2, 3, and 4 just to complete the top row of our navigation grid.
And naturally, you would assume we just repeat all those careful steps 3 more times.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think so.
You could, but in a professional workflow, manual repetition is the enemy.
The enemy. Strong words.
It's true. The source text explicitly guides us away from starting from scratch and teaches us the mechanics of duplication.
Right. And it shows us some incredibly fast ways to do this.
Walk us through it.
So we create an empty folder named Gallery 2 and drop in our new raw photograph. But instead of opening up the Layer Styles menu and painstakingly re-entering the 27% opacity and the 120-degree angle for the shadow,
There's a shortcut.
a huge one, the text shows us that if you hold down the Alt key on Windows or the Option key on a Mac,
Yeah.
you can literally just click the little effects icon on the first button and drag it over to the new image.
It is magic.
It instantly applies the exact same mathematical shadow parameters to the new photo. Then we just duplicate the blue band and the text layer, slide them over to the new button, and update the text to say Gallery 2.
It takes seconds. Literally seconds.
Okay, let me push back on this for a minute. I want to play the role of the skeptical learner here.
Bring it on.
If I am really fast with my keyboard shortcuts, right, and I have the hex codes and the opacity numbers memorized, I might feel like it's actually quicker to just draw a new box, fill it with blue, and type the new text, rather than navigating my mouse through the Layers panel, duplicating folders, dragging effects, and sliding things across the screen.
Yeah.
If I am fast, why is duplicating so essential?
Because honestly, speed is secondary.
Wait, really?
Yes. The primary goal of duplication is the total eradication of human error.
Human error.
Yes. Think about the cognitive load of UI design. You are managing color theory, spatial alignment, typography, and content simultaneously.
It's a lot to juggle.
It is. If you manually draw that blue band 4 times, the laws of probability dictate that eventually you will make a mistake.
Just a slip of the finger.
Exactly. The third band might be 34 pixels high instead of 33. You might accidentally type the blue color value as 120 instead of 121. You might put an extra space between the words gallery and 3.
Okay, but let me interrupt. Does a user actually notice a 1 pixel difference or a color value being off by 1 single point?
Consciously, maybe not. They won't point at the screen and say, aha, that's 1 pixel taller.
Yeah.
But subconsciously, absolutely. This is the core of UX, or user experience design. We talked earlier about visual consistency building trust.
Yeah.
Well, a user's brain is basically a pattern recognition machine. When they look at a row of 4 buttons, their brain instantly categorizes them as a unified family of interactive elements.
Okay, I follow you.
If one of those buttons is slightly taller or the shadow is slightly darker, it creates cognitive friction. The pattern is broken.
Oh, I see.
The user's brain registers that something is wrong, even if they can't point out exactly what it is. The website suddenly feels, cheap, broken, or untrustworthy.
It's like walking into a luxury hotel and seeing one piece of baseboard trim that's painted a slightly different shade of white.
That is a perfect example. It completely ruins the illusion of perfection.
Yeah, you just feel like they cut corners.
Exactly. When you hold Alt or Option and drag that effect, you aren't just saving time, you are letting the software guarantee mathematical perfection.
You're taking yourself out of the equation.
Precisely. You are ensuring that the DNA of button 2 is a flawless clone of button 1.
That is a huge paradigm shift. Let the machine do the precision work.
Always.
So duplication works beautifully for the top row of 4 buttons. But let's scale this up.
Okay.
Let's say the museum director comes to us and says, "We love the gallery navigation, but we're expanding. We don't have 4 galleries, we have 400.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, my alt-drag duplication method sounds like an absolute nightmare. Like I can't sit there dragging and dropping folders 400 times without losing my mind.
And this is exactly where amateur workflows completely collapse under pressure.
Because it just doesn't scale.
Right. Duplication scales linearly. It still requires your physical intervention for every single asset. To truly handle volume, you have to transition from manual duplication to full-scale automation.
And this brings us to what I consider the most mind-bending part of the entire text. Actions.
Oh, yes.
If you're listening to this and you have never used actions before, prepare to have your mind blown.
An action is essentially a way to record your behavior in the software, turning a sequence of manual clicks into an automated script that you can replay with a single button press.
Let's walk through the mechanics of how the text teaches this, because it's basically visual programming.
It really is.
We have a folder on our computer containing the raw, unedited images for our second row of buttons galleries 5, 6, 7, and 8. We open just the first image in Photoshop.
Just the one.
We open the Actions panel, create a new folder called Buttons, and hit a literal record button to create a new action called resizing and styling images.
Now, the moment you hit record, the software is watching every move you make.
Which feels a little intimidating.
It can, but importantly, it doesn't record real-time speed.
What do you mean?
It only records the final execution of commands. You could literally take an hour to figure out the next step, go make a sandwich, come back, and click. When you play the action back later, it will execute all those steps in milliseconds.
That's a relief. So with the recorder running, we performed the exact sequence of steps needed to transform this raw photo into our standardized button.
Right.
First, we go to image size and shrink the high-resolution photo down to a web-friendly 180 by 180 pixels.
But shrinking an image usually destroys some sharpness.
Exactly. So we immediately run a smart sharpen filter to crisp the edges back up.
Smart.
Then we need to expand the canvas around the image so we have room for our drop shadow to actually fall.
Right, because right now the image goes edge to edge.
So we go to canvas size and we tell the software to grow the workspace to 220 by 220 pixels. But right here, right in between shrinking the image and growing the canvas, the text introduces a step that trips up almost every single beginner.
Ah, yes. The background layer conversion.
Yes. The text absolutely insists that before we change the canvas size, we must go to the Layers panel, find the layer labeled Background, which has a little padlock icon next to it, double-click it, and rename it to Button.
It's mandatory.
If you skip this step, the entire automated process will eventually fail. Why? Why does renaming a layer suddenly make or break the physics of the software?
To understand this, you really have to understand the history of image formats, specifically the JPEG.
Okay, take us back.
When you open a standard JPEG photograph from a camera, it doesn't have transparency.
Because a camera doesn't shoot invisible pixels.
Exactly. A camera captures a solid rectangle of data. Because of this, Photoshop imports JPEGs as a locked foundational layer called the background.
It's nailed to the floor.
It is essentially nailed to the floor of the document. And a locked background layer has a strict physical limitation. It cannot contain an alpha channel.
An alpha channel meaning transparency.
Correct. So if you take a locked background layer and you expand the canvas around it, Photoshop doesn't know how to create empty space.
Because the layer type forbids it.
Exactly. It has to fill that new space with a solid color, usually white, or whatever your background color is currently set to.
And if the new space is filled with solid white, then our drop shadow has nothing to cast its shadow onto.
Right.
The shadow just gets clipped, or it casts a shadow against the new white border instead of the actual web page underneath it.
Precisely. By double-clicking the background layer and renaming it, you are instructing the software's rendering engine to rip the image off the floor, promote it to a free-floating standard layer, and grant it an alpha channel.
Oh, wow.
Now, when the action executes the canvas size command, the new space is generated as pure transparent pixels.
It is so satisfying to finally understand the why behind that double clicking. It used to drive me crazy.
It's a game changer once you grasp the mechanics of it.
So the layer is unlocked, the canvas is expanded with transparent space. Finally, we reapply our exact drop shadow and stroke settings, we save the file, and we close it.
And then?
Then, we hit the stop button on our action recorder.
You have just successfully programmed your first digital assembly line.
And here is the unbelievable payoff. We have 3 more raw images for galleries 6, 7, and 8.
Do we open them?
We do not open them. We don't touch them. We go to File, Automate, Batch.
Yes.
We tell Photoshop, hey, take this resizing styling script I just recorded. Look at these 3 raw files and run the script on them.
And because you included the save and close commands within your recorded action,
The software can handle the entire life cycle of the file autonomously.
totally hands-off.
You hit OK, and it is honestly like watching a ghost operate your computer.
It's the best feeling.
In a fraction of a second, Photoshop rips through the remaining files. It resizes them, sharpens them, unlocks the background layer, calculates the transparent canvas expansion, applies the complex shadow physics, saves the files, and closes them.
Boom.
What took us 5 minutes to do manually is executed perfectly across multiple files in a heartbeat.
This is the moment your identity as a professional shifts.
How so?
You are no longer just a designer reacting to pixels. You are a workflow architect. You are leveraging computational power to eliminate drudgery.
So if New ZRT comes back with 400 galleries?
You don't panic. You just point your batch automation at a folder of 400 images, go get a cup of coffee, and let the machine do the heavy lifting.
It's an incredible superpower.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've automated this button factory. We have a folder on our hard drive containing these beautifully processed, perfectly consistent PSD files.
But right now, they are entirely isolated. They're just floating in a folder.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do we graft them back into our master museum layout without breaking the main file?
This requires a highly specific importing mechanism.
Right. The text tells us to use a command called Place Embedded. We go to File, Place Embedded, select our Automated Gallery 5 button, and it drops right into our master layout.
Yep.
We use our precise grid guides to snap it perfectly into alignment below our first row of buttons. We repeat this for 6, 7, and 8. Now, I want to stop here and challenge this process.
Go for it.
Copy and paste is the universal language of computing.
Sure is.
If I want text from a Word document in an email, I hit Ctrl-C, Ctrl-EV. Why am I going through a specific software menu to place embedded? Why wouldn't I just open the Gallery 5 file, select all the pixels, copy them, go to my main layout, and paste them? It seems so much more intuitive.
It might be intuitive, but in a professional digital environment, raw copy and pasting is a destructive action.
Destructive how?
To understand this, we need a different analogy.
Lay it on me.
Think of a normal copy and paste like painting a portrait of a car. You look at the car outside and you paint a picture of it on your canvas.
Okay, I have my painting.
If later on you decide you want a much smaller picture of the car, you can't just shrink your painting. The paint smears, the details get crushed.
Right.
If you shrink it down to a tiny thumbnail and then change your mind and try to blow it back up to poster size.
It becomes a blurry, unreadable mess of pixelated blocks.
Exactly. Because when you shrink raster graphics, which are pixel graphics, the software literally throws away the extra data to make it smaller. It deletes the pixels permanently.
Ah, the data is destroyed.
Yes. But when you use the place embedded command, you aren't copying pixels, you are creating a smart object.
A smart object.
Right. To go back to our analogy, a smart object is like installing a window in your canvas that looks out at the actual physical car parked outside.
Ooh, I like this. I like this a lot.
You can change the size of the window, you can make it tiny, or you can make it massive. But no matter how much you manipulate the size of the window on your canvas, the car outside never loses a single atom of detail.
Because it's still the real car.
Exactly. The original high-resolution source file is embedded inside a protective algorithmic vault within your master document.
So if I scale my Gallery 5 button down to the size of a postage stamp just to see how it looks, hit Enter, and then a week later decide I want to take up the whole screen.
You can scale it back up and it will be perfectly crisp.
Because it just queries the original data.
Yes, it queries the original data stored in the vault and redraws the pixels perfectly at the new scale. It is a completely non-destructive workflow.
That is brilliant.
Furthermore, if you decide you need to change the image inside the button later, you don't have to rebuild it. You just double-click the Smart Object window. Photoshop opens the vault, lets you swap the raw image, and when you save, it automatically updates the button inside your master layout, retaining all the sizing and effects you applied.
It's like having a live, bulletproof link to the original asset. It literally protects you from your own indecision.
Exactly.
So by using Place Embedded, we have safely grafted our automated buttons into the master file. Our desktop layout for Museo Arte is looking absolutely spectacular.
But here is the harsh reality of modern digital design.
Tell me.
The desktop monitor is only one part of the story.
In fact, it's often the minority of the story.
Exactly. People don't just look at art museum websites on 27-inch 4K monitors.
No, they look at them while squished on a subway train, holding a smartphone with one hand.
And this brings us to one of the most critical paradigm shifts in the text designing for the multi-screen world using artboards.
Artboards. This is a big deal when it was introduced.
It represents a massive evolution in how design software fundamentally operates. Historically, a Photoshop document was a single finite universe. One file equaled one rectangular canvas.
So if you wanted to design a mobile version of your website,
You had to create a completely separate file.
which means if the client wants to change the museum logo, you have to go open the desktop file, change it, save it, then go find the mobile file, change it, save it.
It's a nightmare for version control. It inevitably leads to inconsistencies.
For sure.
But the modern web isn't a series of fixed posters. It is a fluid, responsive system.
Right.
You have to design content that behaves like water. It needs to perfectly fill the shape of whatever glass the user pours it into, whether that glass is a massive widescreen monitor or a tiny phone screen.
And the Artboard tool is how we design that water.
Exactly.
The text walks us through this transition perfectly. First, we select every single layer in our beautiful desktop layout.
Go.
We go to Layer, select New, and choose Artboard from Layers. We name this new Artboard Desktop.
Instantly, the software wraps a container around your canvas. You have just defined the boundaries of your first glass.
Right, we've cordoned off that specific environment.
Yep.
Then we select the Artboard tool itself from the toolbar. We hold down the Alt or Option key, and we click a small plus icon right next to our desktop artboard.
And what happens?
Instantly, the software duplicates the entire artboard. Every meticulously organized folder, every smart object, every drop shadow, and places an exact clone right next to the original. We name this new container iPhone 6.
Now, instead of two separate files, you have a massive infinite drafting table.
Yeah.
You have the blueprints for the desktop experience sitting literally right next to the blueprints for the mobile experience within the exact same document.
It allows for incredibly holistic design thinking. You can visually cross-check the two layouts in real time.
Which is huge for visual consistency.
But right now, our iPhone 6 artboard isn't actually phone size. It's a duplicate of the giant desktop layout.
We have to fix that.
Right, so we go to the Properties panel, and the software has an incredibly helpful list of device presets. We select iPhone 6,
And the container instantly snaps to the mathematical dimensions of that specific device.
which the text notes is exactly 750 pixels wide by 1334 pixels tall. But here's the problem.
The container shrank, but the water inside didn't.
Exactly. Our desktop size logo and our massive multi-column gallery grids are spilling way over the invisible edges of the iPhone screen.
We have to rearrange the architecture to fit the new constraints.
The book outlines a very methodical process for this reflow. We select the main content groups within our iPhone artboard. We go to Edit, Free Transform, and again, precision is paramount. We don't just grab the corner handle and eyeball it until it looks like it fits.
No eyeballing. We go up to the control bar. We lock the aspect ratio so the content doesn't stretch and distort. We set the transformation anchor point to the top left corner so everything scales predictably from the origin point. And we manually type in a width of exactly 726 pixels. By using math instead of your mouse, you are forcing the wide horizontal desktop grid to scale down perfectly to fit within the 750 pixel width of the phone screen.
And it leaves exactly 12 pixels on either side.
Exactly. You're mathematically guaranteeing a consistent 12 pixel margin of empty space on the left and right sides.
It is so satisfying when the math perfectly aligns the layout. Then we tackle the Museo Arte logo at the top of the page.
Right.
We initiate a free transform, lock the aspect ratio again, and scale the logo down to exactly 672 pixels wide.
Now I have to ask, why 672 pixels? Why not just scale the logo down by the exact same percentage we scaled the main content?
That's a great question.
Because it comes down to the principle of visual hierarchy and legibility.
Okay, explain that.
On a massive desktop monitor, a logo can be physically small relative to the screen size and still be perfectly readable simply because the absolute physical size of the screen is large.
Right. There's plenty of real estate.
But when you shrink everything down to a 5-inch phone screen held at arm's length, direct proportional scaling fails.
Oh, because the text would just become too tiny to read.
Exactly. If you scaled the logo down by 70%, just because you scaled the images down by 70%, the museum's name might become illegible.
That makes sense.
On mobile, crucial branding or interactive elements often need to take up a much larger relative percentage of the screen width just to remain functional.
So you're adapting the visual hierarchy to the reality of the human eye.
And the fat finger rule of touchscreens. People need to be able to tap things easily.
You're designing for human biology, not just pixel math.
Exactly.
So we scale the logo appropriately. But now we have another problem. Because the phone screen is so narrow, our content can no longer spread out left to right.
Right, you lose the horizontal axis.
We have to stack our gallery buttons vertically, row upon row upon row. And as we stack them, they spill out in the bottom of the 1334 pixel height limit of the iPhone container.
The water is overflowing the glass vertically.
Right, so we simply select the Artboard tool, grab the bottom handle of the iPhone 6 Artboard, and drag it downward.
We're extending the physical height of the artboard to 2,800 pixels so it acts as a long, scrolling canvas that fits all of our vertically stacked content perfectly.
Exactly.
Now, right here is where we need to stop and issue a massive warning.
Oh, the warning about the legacy resizing tools.
Yes. This is a trap that destroys hours of work for designers who don't understand the underlying software architecture.
Tell them why.
Earlier in our deep dive, when we were building our automated action, we used a command called canvas size to add transparent space around a single image.
Right, for the drop shadow.
Once you transition a document into an artboard's workflow, you must completely and utterly abandon the image size and canvas size commands.
Okay, but why? What happens if I go to the top menu and click image size while working on my drafting table?
You will scramble the entire matrix.
Scramble the matrix.
Those legacy commands were built for the era when a document was a single, isolated canvas. They command the foundational universe of the file. If you have an artboard sitting at coordinate x.1 hero, y.1 zero, and you use the legacy canvas size command to add 1,000 pixels to the underlying document space, the software recalculates the universal coordinates.
Oh, no.
Your artboards will likely shift, overlap, or completely break their internal grid alignments. It's like trying to resize a single room in a house by grabbing the external foundation and pulling it. You'll tear the plumbing out of the walls.
That is a terrifying mental image, but a perfect explanation.
Oh, do it.
So when you are in the multi-screen artboard world, you only ever use the dedicated artboard tool to manipulate the size of your specific screens. Do not touch the master universe controls.
Please don't.
Okay, so we have safely navigated the multi-screen layout. We have a pristine desktop layout sitting next to a flawlessly stacked, logically scaled mobile layout.
The creative work is done.
The client is signed off. The organization is immaculate. Now we face the final and perhaps most intimidating hurdle.
The handoff.
The handoff. How do you get this beautiful digital architecture out of your proprietary design software and into the hands of the engineers who will actually build it?
The text focuses entirely on a modern command called export as. And it makes a point to distinguish this from the way things used to be done.
Historically, there was a deeply entrenched command called save for web.
Yes, save for web legacy. It's actually still buried in the software menus for compatibility reasons.
The export as was built specifically to replace it for the modern era.
Exactly.
Why the change, though? If save for web worked for a decade, why learn a new tool?
Because Save for Web was built for the single canvas era. It can only look at one flat image at a time.
Oh.
Export As is an engine designed specifically to understand complex, multi-layered, multi-artboard environments. It can look at your massive drafting table, recognize the different artboards, and export them at multiple resolutions simultaneously.
It is a tool built for scale.
Yes.
The text breaks down this export process into two very distinct phases, based on who you're actually talking to. Phase one is the client review. At this stage, the museum directors, the stakeholders paying the bills, want to see the final design.
They don't know how to code, they don't have Photoshop.
They just want a picture they can look at on their iPads.
Exactly. So we need to generate flat, universally readable representations of the artboards.
We go to File, Export, Export As. Because our document is architected correctly, The dialog box automatically recognizes desktop and iPhone 6 as separate entities.
Which is so nice.
We select both of them. We set the file format to JPG.
Yeah.
Now, we are asked to set the quality, and the text suggests 85%.
85%?
Why not 100%?
Yep.
I mean, if it's a museum, shouldn't we give them the absolute highest quality picture possible?
It's really about finding the pragmatic sweet spot.
What do you mean?
Well, 100% quality JPG retains maximum visual fidelity, sure, but the file size becomes enormous.
Okay.
If you try to email a massive file to a client, their corporate email server might reject it entirely,
Yeah.
or it might take ages to load on a mobile connection.
Right, which makes a terrible impression.
Exactly. At 85% quality, the algorithmic compression removes data that the human eye barely registers. It reduces the file size dramatically while keeping the image looking virtually flawless on a standard screen.
It's the perfect balance of visual integrity and digital portability.
Exactly.
That makes total sense. We want them to actually be able to open the email.
Right.
Then, we check a very specific box at the bottom of the menu. Convert to sRGB. I have always been deeply confused by this. If I picked a specific blue, that 25, 72, 121 RGB value, isn't that blue just going to look like that blue everywhere? Why do I need to convert anything?
This is one of the most misunderstood concepts in digital design. No, that blue will not look the same everywhere.
Really?
Every monitor in the world, from a cheap laptop screen to a high-end, calibrated professional display, interprets color data slightly differently based on its physical hardware capabilities.
Oh, wow.
This range of colors a monitor can display is called its color gamut.
So a cheap monitor physically can't shine as brightly or vividly as a pro monitor.
Exactly. If you design your website using a massive, vibrant color gamut, and you send that file to a client looking at a 5-year-old laptop,
The laptop's hardware will panic.
yes. It doesn't know how to render your extreme colors, so it guesses, and the colors look washed out, neon, or completely wrong.
Which means the client rejects the design
Yeah.
because they think you picked terrible colors.
Precisely. sRGB stands for Standard Red, Green, Blue. It is a universal, lowest common denominator color profile. It's basically the Rosetta Stone of the internet.
I love that.
When you check Convert to sRGB, you are telling Photoshop to mathematically shift your colors into a safe, constrained spectrum that almost every modern screen on Earth agrees upon.
It guarantees that the blue you see on your pristine design monitor looks functionally identical on the client's office computer.
You are protecting your design from the unpredictability of hardware.
So we export our 85% quality sRGB JPGs. We email them to Museo Arte. The directors view them, they love the colors, they love the layout, and they give us the green light. Build it.
Which initiates phase 2 of the handoff, the developer assets.
Now, let me play devil's advocate one last time, because this was the hardest concept for me to grasp when I first tried to build a website.
Okay, let's hear it.
The client just approved the JPGs. The JPGs contain everything: the logo, the gallery buttons, the text, the layout. They look exactly like the final product.
They do.
Why can't the web developer just take that desktop.jpg, put it on a server, and map invisible clickable links over the top of the button areas? Why are we going back into the Photoshop file?
Because mapping invisible links over a giant flat picture is how the internet was built in 1996, and it is a technical catastrophe today.
A technical catastrophe. Walk me through that.
First, responsiveness. A flat JPG cannot rearrange itself. If a user resizes their browser window, a giant picture just shrinks, making the text unreadable. A modern website uses code to dynamically reflow content based on the screen size. Second, accessibility. A screen reader software used by visually impaired users cannot read the text gallery 1 if it is baked into a photograph. The text must be actual HTML code so the machine can read it aloud.
That is so important. I didn't even think of that.
And third, bandwidth. Loading a massive single photograph of an entire web page takes vastly more data than loading a few tiny graphical assets and arranging them using lightweight CSS code.
So a web developer isn't just displaying a picture. They are physically constructing a functional machine using code.
Exactly. They are building the structure with HTML, styling it with CSS, and adding interactivity with JavaScript.
Okay.
To build that machine, they don't need your baked cake, they need your raw ingredients.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
They need the isolated logo with a transparent background so they can code it to float over the header. They need the individual, optimized gallery button images so they can wrap them in functional link tags.
They need the isolated assets. And this is where our meticulous organization from the very first minute of this deep dive pays off massively.
It all comes full circle.
The text teaches us a fundamentally different way to use the export command for this phase. We do not go to the File menu.
Yep.
Instead, we go into our beautifully organized Layers panel. We open our desktop Artboard folder.
Yep.
We select our Gallery 1 folder, our logo folder, our navigation background layers. We highlight the specific isolated ingredients the developer needs.
And then
we right-click directly on those selected layers within the Layers panel itself, and we choose Export, as from that contextual menu.
by initiating the command from the Layers panel, you are bypassing the global canvas. You are telling the engine, ignore the layout. Just process these specific isolated components.
We export these isolated assets into a dedicated folder on our hard drive named Assets Desktop. We set the logo to a PNG format to preserve its transparent background, and the gallery photos to JPGs.
Perfect.
Then we go to our iPhone 6 Artboard, select the specific mobile-sized layers, right-click, and export those to a folder called Assets iPhone 6.
Now imagine you are the developer receiving this handoff.
Okay, I'm the dev.
You don't just get a massive, confusing Photoshop file, and you don't just get a useless, flat JPG, you get a clearly labeled toolkit.
Everything is right there.
You open the Assets Desktop folder and find a perfectly cropped, transparent PNG of the logo and beautifully optimized, mathematically identical JPGs of the buttons.
You have everything you need to start writing clean, efficient code immediately.
It's the ultimate mark of a professional. You aren't just delivering art, you are delivering an engineered system.
So let's take a deep breath and look back at the incredible architecture we've explored today based on Chapter 13.
It's been a journey.
We started by abandoning the free-flowing nature of print and embracing the strict mathematical pixel grid. We engineered UI elements with drop shadows that hack human psychology to create affordances.
We established the culinary mise en place of layer groups to keep our files immaculate.
We rejected the human error of manual repetition by duplicating layers and leveraging the immense power of actions to automate our workflows.
We protected our data using place-embedded and smart objects.
We adopted a fluid, multi-screen philosophy using artboards, and finally, we navigated the complex translation of our design into developer-ready assets using the targeted export as command.
It really is a masterclass in structural integrity and digital hygiene.
It is. And look, if you were listening to this and you found this technical breakdown of the invisible plumbing of design helpful, we want to hear from you. Please follow us for more technical design breakdowns and career-building content.
Because understanding the software at this granular level is what separates the amateurs from the true professionals.
It really is. Now, before we wrap up today, there is one final, almost hidden detail in the source text that I think we need to highlight.
Oh, yes. It points to a profound shift in the future of our industry.
Lay it on me.
Tucked away in the chapter is a brief mention of a background technology called Adobe Generator.
Okay.
The text notes that if you enable Adobe Generator in your software preferences, Photoshop fundamentally changes how it handles exports.
Oh, so
It stops relying on you to manually click through the export as menus entirely. Instead, it watches how you name your layers.
wait, it watches the layer names.
Yes. If you have a folder, and you simply rename that folder from Gallery 1 to gallery1.jpg,
Oh my God.
the Adobe Generator engine instantly, invisibly, automatically exports that folder as a JPG and saves it to a designated asset folder on your hard drive.
Without you clicking anything.
Right. And if you go back in and change the drop shadow, Generator automatically overwrites the file on your hard drive the moment you let go of your mouse. It happens continuously in the background.
That is wild. It completely removes the manual handoff phase.
It does, and I want you to sit with the philosophical implication of that tool. What does it mean for the future of your career when simply naming a layer correctly literally executes the algorithmic bridge between visual design and production assets?
That's huge.
We are moving rapidly toward a world where the software handles all the translation. The historical wall separating the creative visual designer from the technical front-end developer is dissolving.
Because the design file is the code generation tool.
Precisely. If the software is relying exclusively on your layer nomenclature to build the website's assets, then your file organization isn't just a polite professional courtesy anymore.
It is the actual literal mechanism of production.
Yes. If your layers are a mess, the algorithm fails. Your organizational discipline is the only thing that will allow you to survive the automation shift.
So it all comes back to the foundation we talked about at the very beginning.
Yeah.
You could be the most expressive, brilliant artist in the world, painting the most beautiful bathroom tile.
Yeah.
But if you don't understand the structural integrity, if you don't respect the grid, the layer groups, and the export mechanics, your house is going to collapse the second someone tries to turn on the water.
Exactly. Don't just be an artist, be the architect.
I love that. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredibly detailed deep dive. Go grab the book from the link in the description, keep meticulously organizing those layers, respect the pixel grid, and we will see you next time.